Oi, oi, vibes here.
I'm DJ Macca.
This is Paul Louise.
My name's Robbie Edwards.
My name's MC Hurricane. I'm DJ Records.
Hey, this is Bassline.
I'm John Edge. MC Noise.
Reggie Sarah.
Stevie Wonder.
Hi, this is Bob K.
I'm Les Calvert. I'm DJ City T.
Yes, this is the JFMC. You're listening to the Couture 303 podcast with J Viper, baby.
Welcome back, everyone, to another special episode of the Couture 303 podcast with me, J Viper. And without further ado, we'll crack on with my guest today. He's been absolutely everywhere. He's a DJ, he's a producer, he's played drum and bass, he's played hardcore, he owns record labels, he's even fucking DJed on the Great Wall of China. Welcome to the show, Lee UHF.
How's it going, Jay?
Hello, mate. You okay? Just here we are, both on the screen now. Thanks for doing this, mate. I know you've had a little bit of shit going on this week with sick family and sick kids and all that kind of stuff. So I really appreciate your time, mate.
No, that's okay, mate. Yeah, I'm currently off my general day job duties on paternity leave at the minute. Yeah. I've got a newborn little boy, so things have been really hectic. Yeah, thank you. It's been amazing. On having sex at that age.
Right, we'll crack on then, mate. So as I always do with all my guests, we start right back at the start. So where and when were you born, mate?
Yeah, so my beginnings come from Sheffield, born and bred in Sheffield up in Yorkshire. And I grew up around music quite early on. My dad ran a record shop when I was little, Roulette Records, for anybody who's a bit older and remembers that kind of stuff. And it was good. Grew up on a council estate, roughed it up a little bit, but my parents were really good. You know what I mean? I didn't get into much trouble, as you'd expect. Do you know what I mean? The odd little bit here and there, but it's a good upbringing, really. Like I said, I definitely had a good family around me, a big family as well.
So what was your family unit? Who lived at home with you?
So my mum and dad were quite young when they had me. They were like 17 and 19 when they had me, my mum and dad. So my mum had not left home yet, because my mum and dad had only been together about 3 or 4 years. And for the first 3 years, I lived with my nan and granddad with my mum there. And she got 3 brothers and 2 sisters as well. So some of them were living there, some of them weren't. They keep coming and going, breaking up with their missus, moving out. So it was kind of revolving door, my nan's. Everybody, it was like the hub of the family, you know what I mean? So everybody was there. Everybody who had something to say or wanted to do something, they'd all come and do it at my nan's. All the parties were there as well.
Hub.
It was the family hub. It really was. And my dad was from, I was on Wyburn, which is obviously like South Sheffield side. And my dad was from Hillsborough way. So he'd travel up every day to come and see me. And then eventually they managed to get an house, and it was just me, my mum and dad until I was about 5 years old. And then my sister come along.
Yeah, that must have felt strange going from such a big family unit to just having your mum and dad there all the time, just to yourself, like, if you like. What was that like?
It was no different, because we lived about 5 doors away. It was the same estate, same
just
road.
Just going to be nan's.
Yeah, it literally was. And when I got to 12, I spent most of my time at my nan's, because obviously everybody had kind of left the house, and it was just my nan and granddad. But I ended up kind of living there for the most part as well, because I like being there. I had my own room, whereas obviously living with my mum and dad, it was under a bit more stricter rules, and I had to share a room with my sister. So by the age of 12, I was back at my nan and granddad's again, practically living and just eating and having my laundry done at my mum and dad.
So what were you like in school? Is anything in school that you excelled at? Were you a creative kid, a sporty kid, were you a good kid, a naughty kid?
Yeah, like I said, I never really got into massive amounts of trouble. Like I said, the odd estate things where maybe you'd rob somebody's up. Do you know what I mean? And you get a slap for it. Do you know what I mean? There weren't police involved, but at school, I never really got that much into trouble. I weren't a grade A student. Do you know what I mean? I was the joker, like, in the class, and do you know what I mean? I was always ripping people and ripping teachers and I was into art a lot. I was like a really good artist, and I started playing sports properly at about 12. I started playing rugby at school, and I was really good at rugby, quite strong. I've always had like really tree oak legs kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? So I was really strong at that. And then I got into basketball. So around say secondary school, it was a lot of kind of I loved art and stuff. I was really good at art, but when I really touched onto sports, I got really good at it. And the basketball thing, that was my life. Like, it really took over my life. I played for the school team, I played for Yorkshire, played for England, and I played one game for England, basically. Yeah, so I really moved up with that. Yeah, it was a really good time.
So you're into your martial arts. Was that something that you liked as a spectator, or was it something you participated in as well?
Yeah, I've had that stuff with me all my life. Like I say, growing up on the council estate, everybody was doing boxing or karate and stuff like that, or kickboxing. And I started a karate class, and I really liked it. But I was only about 8 or 9. I didn't feel it was physical enough. I wanted to do like boxing, and I didn't like the boxing because I think I remember there was some kid who used to pick on me who used to go to the boxing one. So I never went to boxing. So I ended up doing Thai boxing. And I was doing Thai boxing on and off until I was about 19 years old. So I did a lot of that. And then when the clubbing and the DJing kind of started, it went away. But I'll come back to it later. Like in my 30s, I really got heavily back into the martial arts and started competing and things like that. Yeah.
Fucking hell, at 30, that's fucking good going.
I know. Yeah, it was
knocking out all the kids.
Getting my ass kicked most of the time. But no, I did quite well. Like I started back at I think it was about 29, 30 years old, and I had a good 7-8 year run. And then when I've just turned 41 last week, and when I got to about 38. I thought, I'm going to have another run. This is my last run of it now. And kind of got into the train. I couldn't fucking get past the camp. Couldn't do it.
Well, happy birthday for last week anyway. So we'll just rewind a little tiny bit now. So when you were younger, what were your musical influences? Obviously, you said your dad had a record shop. Was that just, was that a general record shop that kind of sold a little bit of everything? Or so what was your first introduction to music?
Yeah, well, back then in the 80s, they were all kind of general record shop. Yeah. They weren't like how you'd have the separate kind of dance record shop. They were all in one then, because obviously a lot of that music, it was like Prodigy and charting and things like that, wasn't it? But I liked a bit of everything, whether it was the Postman Pat theme tune or Guns N' Roses, you know what I mean? As a kid, you gravitate to stuff, and I loved a lot of kind of like Guns N' Roses metal stuff when I was really, really young. When I started playing basketball, and just kind of the kids who I was playing basketball with, they introduced me to rap music. And I wasn't a massive fan of it before, but I'd never really heard anything good at that point. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And in my ears, so like they, as you can imagine, being like 11 years old and hearing Wu-Tang Clan and Onyx, and they're swearing and talking about guns and kill you, like, fuck me, this is good. Like, so
he just said bitches.
That was it. Yeah, he just said he's going to kill 3 people. And,
he's going to kill 3 N-words.
yeah, that's what he all was. And obviously, as a kid, I gravitated to that a lot, and I really, really got into my rap. I used to go. I remember at underage, I went to a Cypress Hill concert. I went to see Old Dirty Bastard. I went to see Busta Rhymes. So yeah, I was really, really into that for most of my teens, and that's the kind of soundtrack to my sports as well. That's what I trained to and stuff like that as well.
So do you think it was the affinity to rap music that wanted you to be an MC before you actually became a DJ?
No, not at all. It was more a case of I hated hardcore and dance. When I was doing the rap stuff, fucking despised it. I didn't really like it. And I used to go like one of the, the family holidays to Skegness. Yeah. Like, every year we'd be there. My mom and dad owned their own caravan and stuff. So we'd be there in the summer. We'd be there all through the 6 weeks holidays, and you'd make friends there. And there was a couple of mates that used to come from Lincoln. And one of them, he was really into all the gangster rap like me. So me and him were big buddies, like, and his mate who he'd come with, he was into vibes and happy hardcore and things like that. He was a couple of years older than me. He was like 16 when I was about 14, 13. Yeah. And he had like a Vibe Light tattoo and stuff. And we used to rip him for it. I didn't know what it was then. But as I'd keep meeting those guys on holiday, I started to become more friends with the hardcore guy, even though I didn't like hardcore. And basically, as you can imagine, you're figuring out which girls you like on holiday and that. And what he did to try and get me to like hardcore was invite all the girls that I liked to Fantasy Island, to the Zoo nightclub, to the rave there. So I had no choice but to go to the fucking rave, because I wanted to get with these girls. So Yeah, I went. I
The
got
power
with
of
a
the
girl I liked,
pussy.
Yeah. It happened. and I come out and I actually really liked it. So when I come back home, I was going to school, and it just so happened that like a lot of the kids in my year group, they were going to Uprising in Sheffield. And obviously, because I'd had this little taste of the rave, and they're all talking about it in the schoolyard. Yeah, went to a rave, blah, blah, blah. I was like, fucking, I need a piece of this. Like, let's see what this is like. And that changed everything. Obviously, the sports stuff gradually declined as I was staying out later on a Friday night, and just kind of went like that.
So what year was this? You were going to Uprising?
My first Uprising was the end of 96, and I didn't go for a while, but then I started hardcore regularly going at the beginning of 97. It was February the 7th, 97, Alchemist birthday party.
Yeah.
And I've still got the tape. Fucking
Yeah?
brilliant. Yeah. Still got the tape.
I was lucky enough to play in I played for Uprising and I played for Revolution.
You did, I remember seeing your name on there, yeah.
Fucking hell, you got a good memory, haven't you? Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I only just remembered it myself. But when I played for Uprising, I played, and I think it was on the way out, I got a flyer, and the flyer had Sharky's name on. So I'm a huge Sharky fan. I'm quite good friends with him now, messages and stuff like that. But at the time, I was such a fucking fanboy. And I reached out to, I think it was either Paulo or Kenny Sharp, whoever it was. And I said, listen, I said, Sharky's on in May. I said, my birthday's in May. Is there any chance you could, get me a half-price ticket or something? And he was like, who are you? I said, Jay, I played the week. At the time, it was just DJ Viper. It wasn't Jay Viper, just DJ Viper. And he went, oh, bring your tunes down, you can play. So I got an extra gig out of it, and I got to meet Sharky, and I was fucking made up. But I always remember, and I've said this a couple of times now, obviously, did you ever end up playing at Uprising?
Yeah, lots. I was like a resident there for a little bit as well.
I've never known monitors that loud. I remember stood there, because the DJ box was like upstairs, wasn't it, or up a ladder or something. Yeah. And I remember being in this DJ box, and the monitors were making me face move. Me fucking cheeks were doing all that.
Which club was it that you played at? Which one?
Oh, fucking hell. You're asking now, mate.
What city was it then? What city?
So I played once in Sheffield and once in Chesterfield. So one was for Uprising, one was for Revolution.
Yeah, so the Chesterfield one was the high up one. That was a right dodgy club. They only did a couple there. Okay. The main one in Sheffield was the Adelphi. This is the iconic, legendary rave venue.
Where I went, yeah.
Big square room. There's like a little upstairs, but a lot of the events were like the big square room with a stage, and it had like a stud balcony around the stage.
Yeah.
But they did the underground there as well, which is where a lot of the techno nights was. That was a good club as well. But yeah, they did. That was the main one. And NSPC, the National Centre for Popular Music, that was a big one. The big dome. Yeah, like a giant dome. So they did a lot. But yeah, you talk about obviously a story like that. I think like back in the day, and even probably nowadays, Paulo, I think he loves a chancer. I think he gravitates to people that are just, they'll put it out there.
A bit cheeky.
yeah. But it's like, you don't ask, you don't get kind of people, because you never know the opportunities you missed if you don't just fucking ask. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? And I think he loves people like that, Paul. Yeah. I know him. I've known him a long time now. We are good friends, and we've always had a good relationship. But I can tell that he does gravitate to people that fucking reach for that fucking.
Yeah. Well, look at this podcast. Look at me and you now. I mean, for the viewers at home, this came about. I did a podcast last weekend or the weekend before in Stoke.
Yeah,
I took my gear down to Alex's shop, MC Energy, and I set all my gear up. And I've got a boom arm here. I think you can see that. I've got a movable boom arm.
Yeah.
But when I'm doing the podcasts in someone else's shop, I travel a bit lighter, so obviously I don't take tabletop boom arms. I have these little tripods.
That's right.
Goes to my Instagram, and this guy popped up saying, "Where'd you get your tripods from?" And it was our guest today. And like you say, if you don't ask, you don't get. Obviously, your name popped up. Did a little bit of research, and went, there's a guy on one of my podcasts. He's got a fucking story to tell. He's been around the block more than once. He's well established, well travelled, well accomplished. So fuck it, let's get him on. So I'll ask you, and there you are.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've definitely got the same circle of friends as well and stuff like that. And I wouldn't be surprised if we've been on the same flyer at some point.
You know what? Yeah, 100%. So going back to you were going to Uprising more regular. When did it kind of change from being okay? I want to get into this now. I want to try and have a little go with this.
Yeah, so like I said, I was really heavy into my sports at the time. I'd just got into rave music, so there was a bit of a transition of, like I say, from being a really good basketballer and doing like martial arts to kind of staying out on Friday and missing practices and things like that. But like as I got into doing it, the group of lads that were going, they were all wannabe MCs, all of them, all the that was the cool thing to do. So me and you probably know this other guy as well, MC Keys.
Yeah, I've heard the name.
Yeah, so me and him went to school together, and we started going to Uprising together at the same time. And as we left school, so we were doing that for like a year. Just as we left school, me and him carried on going, whereas a lot of our school friends didn't. And we started being like a little MC duo and stuff like that. We got booked. I think it was an Uprising Teens Night, kind of thing. And it was a case of basically we started going to, up a place called Aston near Rotherham, just on the outskirts of Sheffield, and we were doing some little house parties there with a few friends that we met through mutual friends. I don't know if you know some of the Sheffield lot, like Martin Space. You heard of him? No. Great guy, like I said, somebody who used to come to the raves with us and stuff. And he basically bought a set of decks. And the idea is that there was like 4 of them that all chipped in on this set of decks. And I didn't chip in. So guess who didn't get to have a go on the fucking decks? Like, so what is the only thing we can do while it's MCing, innit? So it was like, you MC, you MC. And as he got to that, he's like, a lot of the lads, they wanted to start doing the MCing, and I really enjoyed the MCing. So what kind of happened from there is they forced me to DJ when I didn't want to DJ, so they could all MC.
Yeah.
And I just kind of took the ball and ran with that. I bought the decks off them, and then it just kind of progressed. As soon as I bought the decks off them, it was like literally 12 hours a day just playing the same 10 records and then the same 20 records over and over again. Because that, you know what I mean, when you're first buying the records, you only got so much money when you're at school. Do you know what I mean? So
what decks were they?
They were the general standard SoundLab belt drive deck.
Yeah, Pro 150s.
Yeah, they really trained you to DJ really well, because obviously you had to have a really gentle touch to spin it out, like so. Yeah.
If you could learn, if you can learn on belt drive, if you can DJ on belt drive, I had friends. I was fortunate really. My first set of decks were Technics 1210s. I had no decks at all. I had friends who had them. I had a little go. And my nan passed away when I was about 17, 18. And she left me like, I think it was £1,000. My mum said, there's £1,000 there, don't waste it. And I said, I'm going to get decks. And she kind of went, oh, fucking hell, fucking hell. I'm one of them. I've tried everything. Played the guitar. I've had a keyboard. I've fucking gone to karate lessons. I've fucking done, tried everything. So when I said I was getting decks, my mum kind of went, okay, here we fucking go. Another fly-by-night thing that'll be fucking gathering dust in 6 months' time. And here we are still fucking doing the rounds now. So where did the influence for the name come from? Obviously, Lee is your name. But where did the UHF come from?
Yeah, so again, when we were doing these house parties, this is when we all started coming up with names. So I made a list of names, and I got all my mates to kind of vote on the best name. And the winner, the name that won was DJ Bedlam. That was the name that won.
Okay, a name that's going to crop up a little bit later.
Yeah, so I was using that, and then I bought a Go Mental gold record, one of the DJ Chaos record labels, the Happy Hardcore, and it had a fucking DJ Bedlam on it, didn't it? Make a tune. So the next one, what everybody said sounded cool, is I'd found it on the back of a remote control, which was ultra high frequency, UHF.
Okay.
So it became DJ UHF. But obviously jokes on me, because I've had that 20 years and it's a sound you can't hear. So pretty fucking stupid name, to be fair. Like. But yeah, that just stuck from there. And I think like around, like it was always DJ UHF, and then kind of, because I was playing not just hardcore, I was playing like hard style and gabber as well and stuff like that. I kind of separated the names. So I used Lee UHF for the hardcore, and then obviously the techno hardcore gabba, the techno hardstyle gabba, that was DJ UHF. So I just wanted to have a little bit of a difference,
bit of separation,
so people knew what I was playing. Basically, that's kind of where that come from eventually.
Mine was like a bit of a sense of maturity, because I was DJ Viper for a long time. Obviously, I know there's other Vipers, but I don't think there's any other Vipers in Liverpool. I know there's an MC Viper who's I think he's with Blackout Crew, isn't he?
Weren't they another Viper in North Wales as well?
Possibly. Hey, maybe so. I must have fucking roll my fucking sleeves up and go down there. That's fucking weird. And then obviously I didn't DJ for quite a while, and I think about the time around at the same time, DJ Energy had changed to Kev Energy, and I kind of went, "Ooh, I'll have a go with that." So I just, and it came about because you'd phone someone and you'd go, "It's Jay," and they go, "Jay who?" Jay Viper. And that's how that kind of came about. So I just put the two together. It sounds a little bit more mature.
Well, at the time as well with that, there was like the forums like Ushnet and things like that. And because obviously you were a person there and not kind of a DJ, a lot of people did put like Lee UHF, Paul Ponder. You know what I mean? There were all those names, Mark HB. So you had your name with it. And I think like...
Sai.
A few people kind of referred to you in that way when they met you at raves as well. So it did stick like that a little bit as well. But talking about Kev Energy, the reason he changed that is the German trance DJ DJ Energy made a couple of big tunes that M-Zone used to play. I think there was a bit of I don't know if there was a bit of a spat, but that is the reason he changed
again to differentiate himself.
To get away from the other DJ Energy. So
the UHF dropping knowledge on us here, ladies and gentlemen. So obviously, you bought these decks off your mates. Can you remember your first ever gig?
Yeah, Uprising.
Uprising, your first gig?
Wait right there. Hold on a sec. I'll grab something here.
Go on.
My first ever gig was a DJ competition in Sheffield, and I won it. My first ever gig.
Yeah.
And I got to play at this event at the National Centre.
Fucking hell, look at that.
There's not even a name there. It just says Lee Ambler. It says Lee Ambler. So that is the first real gig. There was nobody there. It was like a Sunday afternoon like party, and I played.
This one's going out to me now.
I played trance and like Clubhouse, like Simpson Strings, Yamanda, and Paul Van Dyke. So I was mixing all them, and the reason I won the comp is because at the beginning of the vinyl set, I put the intro to Human Traffic soundtrack on. Where's the drugs, the pills are on me. And he was blown away that somebody played a CD in the set. Like, he couldn't believe that someone had done it. So that's why I won it. But from that, I'd obviously been going to Uprising, and because I had the decks, I eventually got some demos together, and he went, we're going to take a punt on you, Lee. Let's get you to come and play. And I played as a replacement for someone. I played that Chesterfield club. That what you said with DJ box. And then I like everything, a good kind of a good relationship kind of blossomed with me and Paul O then. And they, not long after that, around September 99, they started Revolution. They shut up shop with Uprising, started Revolution, and that was at Club Underground in Sheffield. And they had obviously the main room was like M-Zone, Sharky, Kev Energy, and they did it every month. And for that, they had like this second room upstairs, and there was me and a couple of other lads. We became residents of that second room, and that was like literally having that kind of, not really a it wasn't an official residency. Like I said, they had the
residence. It was as good as,
So we were a permanent fixture, let's say, kind of thing. So my second ever rave set was again at Uprising, and it was kind of fulfilling that residency while they were at that club. And then they moved clubs again, and like I say, I got booked with them and stuff like that. And it kind of went from there really to some big gigs after that.
So do you think being a regular fixture at Uprising was instrumental to getting your other gigs as well? Because you played some fantastic places after quite early on, didn't you?
Yeah, it snowed. Like when I got that kind of first few gigs out of the way after that, I mean, obviously it's a bit hazy in my mindset then kind of thing. It's 20 odd years ago.
I'll jog your memory. Future Dance, Helter Skelter, North, Vibralite, Slam and Vinyl, Hardcore Heaven. Ring a bell?
Well, when I say hazy, as in like, how was I pushing that? I remember how they came about, because it just started to happen. Like, but I think the first major one that happened was, I used to buy records from Wax City Records in London. I used to ring them up on the phone, and I'd be like, right, play this down the phone.
Play
And
it
that's
down
where,
the phone, yeah.
yeah, that's where Sharky, Kev Energy, and DJ Chaos worked. It was Chaos's record shop.
Okay.
And I'd ring up and Kev would be playing records down the phone, and I'd buy and I'd buy and I'd buy, and he's like, look, we ain't got nothing for you. You're ringing every fucking day, Lee. Like, there's nothing here.
Like a pest.
Yeah, pestering them to fuck. So they knew me really well.
What colour knickers have you got on?
And they put me on to Stage One Records, which was the distributor of all the freeform stuff, because that's where I was chasing all that freeform stuff, New Energy, stomping tunes, things like that. So I started buying from Stage One and getting to know all those guys as well. And then in one of my mailers full of records that had come every week, there was 2 flyers for the first ever Future Dance night DJ Chaos had put on. And it was like I say, just Chaos, Energy, Sharky, load of their mates at Castle Studios in London, Elephant and Castle. And I was like, fucking hell, yeah, let's go to a rave at Sheffield. Let's do it. And it was literally on my birthday on the 25th March 2000. So me, Martin, who I mentioned earlier, and a minibus full of other friends, we all went down to Future Dance to London. And yeah, it was great. We met Chaos. Like I were up in the VIP half the night, chatting and drinking with Sharky and Energy. And that's when I first really got to know those guys as well.
Sharky drinking? You're joking, aren't you? He's not known as being a party animal, is he? He's a fucking legend, John, and he absolutely fucking legend.
Yeah, so I got to know those guys well, and as you can imagine, me being that hungry, fucking like I say, you don't ask, you don't get. I went straight up to Chaos and I went, let me play at the next one, and we'll all be down here to support. Everybody wants to see me play. He's like, yeah, fucking hell, why not?
Yeah.
So
what year was this?
2000.
Okay.
And the first thing they did, they booked me on the 3rd Future Dance. So I didn't play the first or the second, played the 3rd one. And which were all in the same year, like it was around August I played. So they did March, June and August. So I played the August one and they put me in the North room, Andy Bowler's room. Yeah, that's when they started the techno room. And because obviously I'd done the odd style gabba and hardcore set at Uprising, I had obviously demos for every genre. And it was back then as well. I mean, don't get me wrong, I loved playing it, but it was a lot easier to get gigs when you covered a few styles back then as well. Because say you go to Uprising, there's 6 slots in that main room, and he's like, well, we can't fit you in. Oh, but we've got a second room, and in there we've got techno and arts. So you got those extra gigs just by doing that. Because if I went to Future Dance just playing hardcore, might not have ever got a gig. I only played in the main room once out of all their events. Do you know what I mean? So
because you're up against the fucking big boys, aren't you? Yeah,
of course, because they had like one up and comer, and then the rest were just headliners. Do you know what I mean? And it's kind of the same with most of those events back then. So yeah, it was a good in, but I loved it. Like I said, because I was obviously at that time working in, like I said, Reflex Records, which we'll come to, and getting a lot of promos. I had just as much new music as people like M Zone and stuff. So I come quite formidable with that sound. And it got to, from then, like I said, the Future Dance gig really just fucking landslided everything, because obviously from that playing in the North room, I got to actually go and play at North events. Yeah. Because I played at North events, I got to play at Vibalite events because there was North rooms there, and it just, all the fucking dots just joined up. Like, do you know what I mean? So you play at Vibalite, well, obviously you're going to end up playing at Bowlers. You're playing at Bowlers, then somebody in Stoke wants you to play, and it just landslided from that. It just like a fucking avalanche of fucking promoters seeing you play when promoters are joining up and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, really
good. So back to the name Bedlam. The next year, 2001, you launched your own night, and it was called Bedlam.
Yeah.
What kind of a night was that?
It was basically like Uprising for beginners. Uprising for beginners. I had like MCs, but it was a natural progression. You know, if you're playing and you're going to events and you think you got the knack for it, like, I'm going to give a fucking event a try. I'm going to try it. So me and Martin, who I've obviously mentioned quite a lot already, obviously I played a big part when I first started out, giving me my first decks, and we started Bedlam together in a pub in Sheffield. It went all right, but like there was a lot of problems we didn't think of, such as the regular drunks that go in the pub getting really pissed off that they had to pay to get in their regular pub. Do you know what I mean? So there was shit like that. It was a really stressful night, and I was like, fucking hell, I don't want to do one of these again. But I got roped into doing like a Thursday night in Sheffield at a nightclub. It was like a proper nightclub. and we booked Sharky for that.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it fucking bombed. Like, big time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So first couple of events were a real kind of education thing. Do you know what I mean? And learning the ins and outs of, okay, do this, don't do that, do this. And then the third event, we found a nice little venue just on the outskirts of Hillsborough in Sheffield called the George IV Pub, and they had a function room above it, and it just fucking blew up then. Do you know what I mean? The capacity was like 150, and we were just hitting capacity every event.
Yeah.
We're doing them every month, and we started joining up with a couple of promoters in Barnsley doing the same thing as us. Like I said, mini, baby uprising, if you will.
Yeah.
And we were doing, it was Defiance, a guy called Rich Impulse, and obviously we start to have different legs there where we're joining forces with them, doing events in Barnsley. They're doing them with us, and it just created like this really like fraternity of smaller DJs and producers and event runners and things like that went under that Uprising and Destruction banner.
Yeah.
And I mean, if we had his head screwed on when we were younger, and we kind of, if we'd have put wheels into motion to kind of make that a bit, I think we'd have fucking blown up. But hindsight is everything, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
I mean, to
we were
be
just
fair,
having fun back then.
You won a Mixmag award, didn't you?
That was a bit later. Yeah, that was when I started. I stopped doing Bedlam for a little bit, and what happened was Keys, who I used to go to school with, MC Keys, he came into Reflex because I was like the sales manager at Reflex, so I was in there every day, did all the buying and stuff, and he just popped in. He's like, "Fucking hell, Lee, you all right? Not seen you since like year after we left school." I was like, "Yeah," and he's like,
"Still got that 5 year old me?"
yeah. What you doing now? I go, "Oh yeah, still doing a bit of DJing here and there." This was the end of 2003. This was, so I'd only like packed up doing Bedlam for maybe about 8-9 months. I'd just not put any on, and it was to do with the venue. We lost the venue kind of thing because he got sold the pub. But yeah, Keys come in. He's like, "Yeah, I'm trying to do some MCing, but I don't know what to do with it." I was like, "Oh right, okay. Well, we've been booking MC. I've been doing the Uprising kind of thing still, and showed him some videos and stuff like that. Give him a couple of VHSs of what we'd done." And he come back the next day and he went, "Do you want to put an event on just in the shop?" I was like, "Well, I've kind of already got this event, Bedlam." He goes, yeah. And he come about that, okay, this needs to be different than Bedlam. We have to do it differently, and we got to move it. And we decided to take it out of Sheffield because we didn't want it to be that carbon copy of Uprising. Yeah. You know what I mean? We wanted our own thing to kind of happen. And obviously I'm heavily involved in the scene. I'm going to London, I'm DJing. So I know everybody. Do you know what I mean? From Scotland to London, everybody knows who I am around there because I'm playing there, and you know what I mean, and things like that. And total Bedlam came about because it still had that brand from there, which people would recognise, and we could bring that crowd. But it was meant to look like something new, and it was, like I said, we weren't booking the kind of South Yorkshire MCs like that as much. We had one on, and then others, and it became its own entity then, and right from the get-go, it was just really fresh because, like I said, at the minute then, there was nothing around. You had those little pockets, like in Yorkshire, you had Uprising. Do you know what I mean? And London, like there was like the 8th room at Bagley's slamming. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And Future Dance was the only hardcore entity there. And there was a couple of other little nights as well. And we found a club called The Venue in Long Eaton near Nottingham. And it's notorious, that club, for like a lot of like hard house nights. Now it had a bouncy dance floor, had a spring-loaded dance floor. But when it was full,
go for the knees.
It's fucking mad. Like when it was full, you'd leave your feet, literally, like because the bounce was spring. You'd think the walls were caving in, but it literally was spring-loaded. That caused us a few issues with some of the live PAs that we booked as well. So I'm sure if you ever spoke to Sharky or something like that, they'll tell you about that dance floor and how it fucked up the PAs, because we had a Sharky PA, we had a Digital Beats PA, Ollie G, Camel PA, Alex Sahala from Finland doing the Finnish freefall, all these PAs. And they fucking hated it because of that dance floor. It took the fucking club lot.
The Couture 303 podcast is now officially sponsored by Dapper Turkish Barbers in Hunts Cross. You can find them on Wood End Avenue, and they do the full service there. The hair, the beard, the ears, the nose, the cutthroat, hot towels, the lot. It's the only barbers I ever go to. Fantastic service, great lads. No need to book, just pop in and see them 7 days a week. If you want a nice sick fade like mine, you will not be disappointed. The absolute best in the area. That's Dapper Turkish Barbers, Wood End Avenue, Hunts Cross. And now back to the show. So you played at the first ever HDID, Hardcore Till I Die.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Literally, like I say, it was the same year as Bedlam. Like, we'd already put the flyer out.
Bedlam or Totally Bedlam?
Total Bedlam.
Okay.
Bedlam. So 2004 was when Total Bedlam started in April, and we did 2 events. We did one at the beginning of April and then one at the end on the bank holiday. And we, like I say, we did really well with those events. And just before the event kind of started, Hixie rang me up. He just rang me up and said, like, I love what you're fucking doing, like, and he'd heard some of my music that I'd actually put out on the label, like, and stuff, because the label had just started as well. And he's like,
which label was this?
Bedlam Records.
Okay.
So that started just as the wheels start turning for Total Bedlam as well, kind of thing. But yeah, the HTRD thing, it was the first one at Air. Main room was just Raver Baby. Second room was up and coming Raver Babies and me. And the thing he said, he's like, he booked me for the Bedlam stuff, and he's like, but I don't want you to play that on. I'm like, well, fucking, what do you want me to play? You are booking me because you're telling me how good this stuff is and what you like, what I'm doing.
Yeah, and now tell me to play something different.
Yeah, so I turned him to fucking played what I want anyway. But he didn't bat an eyelid. Like I said, I played really hard. I started off with the Bedlam stuff and then went into like fucking TM and Japo stuff at the end and things like that. So and it smashed the room up. Like, and I just got regular. Yeah, I was playing HDRD regular after that.
Yeah. So when did they? Because obviously you transferred into DNB. I think in 2008 you started your night in Birmingham. So when did the transition happen? Because obviously we're talking 2004 now. HCID. What happened in that period? Was there a gap? Was there a gap in your resume, or was
no? There was no gap. It was overlapping. I mean, like I say, I started Bedlam Records in 2003 with music I was doing with Devastate, and we signed other music and we had like our own sound, so that kind of built up. And then when it got to about I think it was 2005, when it got to 2005, I was a bit disillusioned by spending a lot of money on pressing vinyls. Like it was a bit of a fucking balls ache, do you know what I mean, at that point? And I'd done like about 8 releases up until that time. So it was very regular and stuff. And we decided to put the releases out then through New Energy Collective. Like they were doing it as like the main distributor for it. And like I just got, like I said, I got disillusioned with the music probably around 2005. I fell out with some people kind of in the scene and stuff. And I was still playing hardcore. I still liked it. But obviously when, like one of the main things, I had a bit of a breakup as well, and that bird was in the scene as well, and it gets a bit messy like that because you're seeing them every weekend, you're seeing what bloke she's getting with, and I ended up getting into fucking fights and stuff in clubs because you're fucking heartbroken, aren't you, at the time? Do you know what I mean?
There's nothing worse, is there? There's nothing worse.
Yeah, and it, like I say, it just got into a bit of messy kind of year, really, that because of the breakup and stuff. And I wasn't myself. I was probably a bit of a cunt and stuff as well. I was a bit of a cunt. Yeah. So you know what I mean. And I know that now it was a bad year, like, and just when I got disillusioned, kind of thing. I was, like I say, still going to some events and things like that. I was living in the Midlands now because obviously with this bird, I'd moved up to Coventry way to come and live in Coventry. So I was up in Cov, and I kind of I was getting out of the city just to get my mind straight, and I was going visiting friends in London. And one of my friends called Leanne, she used to be on Ushnet, for anybody out there, used to go on Ush Pumps, good friend of mine. And she took me to Renegade Hardware at the End. The End is a massive, legendary London nightclub. Probably best sound system to this day I've ever heard in my entire life. It was absolutely fucking insane. And it's all down on one way. It's got like a DJ box in the middle, and the whole wall all the way around surrounded by speakers. So there's no dead spots, it's just speakers all the way around. And I went in there, not a big fan of drum and bass. I mean, I knew what a Dillinger track was from people like MC Doma who like drum and bass, and I was I liked the John B track Up All Night. I thought that was good. I started some of my hardcore sets with that, but that's as far as drum and bass went because I thought that was drum and bass. And Renegade Hardware was such a different cultural change from where you think, okay, Dillinger, Jump Up, Bad Boy MC, Guns and Knives, you thought all that was going on there. This was kind of like students packing out the club, and the music was virtually veering on gabba, like drum and bass. So you had like Noisia at this event. You had Dylan, who's a famous hard drum and bass DJ, run a label called Freak Records. Panacea as well, who's played plenty of gabba and stuff in his drum and bass sets and things like that. And it literally is, like I say, it was like the hardest drum and bass you could ever see, but the atmosphere was great. The people there were great. And I walked out that club thinking, fucking hell, like I need to get into this. And you know that when you first get into music and you're discovering artists and you get at record shop and you're like, oh, fucking hell, that tune what I heard. Yeah. I got that back again, which is rare, innit? It's really rare. That feeling of going to a record shop and finding a tune, because there was no Discogs back then. There was no internet and Beatport. If you wanted a tune, you had to somehow ask the DJ and be able to hear him. There was a track I asked Top Groover Uprising for, and for 6 years I thought it was called Timwick 10. I thought that was the track name. I found out he said Tim Rib Records number 10.
Tim Rib Records. Captain Tim Rib.
So 6 years I couldn't find that record because I was asking everyone, you got Timwick 10, Timwick 10.
Just out of interest, what is Tim Rib 10? Which one's that?
It's the M Zone. Oh God, what's it called now? Names left me, but
we'll have to get on Discogs.
It's the one with Chucky on it. You know, don't fuck with the chart.
I love the Tim Rib stuff, Street Tab and all that.
It was a big M Zone and Marquee G tune. That one.
I actually reached out to Marquee G one time. I got a tape pack. I think it was Hardcore Heaven versus Slam and Vinyl. And Marky G played this tune, and I was fucking absolutely blown away by it. And this is before like the internet was really that big. But I emailed him and I sent him a clip of this song, and he told me what it was. It was the Sean Dexter remix of "Feel Free" by Yves DeRuiter on Bonsai Records.
What a tune!
Fucking absolute, one of my favorite soundtracks of all time. And if you listen to this, Mark, thanks for telling me what that was. So 2008, you actually started your own drum and bass night based on your findings in London. How did that come about? Were you playing on that night as well? Did you start playing drum and bass by this point?
Just to answer your other question though, before I move on to that, Chris C and M Zone Pentium. That's
there you go. Hey, look at that! Fucking hell, multitasking. You could be a woman.
Speaking of women, I want to say the transition basically. So
speaking of women, I want to say a big mention to what's her name? I can't think of her name now. The scrubber in work. She knows who she is. Sandra, only messing Sandra. Yeah, Sandra wants me to give it a mention. So yeah,
Hi, Sandra.
Speaking of women, hello, Sandra. she's my biggest fan. She's like Annie Wilkes out of Misery. She's going to tie me to bed one day and chop my feet off. So go on. Sorry, 2008, you started your own drum and bass night.
Yeah, I mean, again, natural progression. Once I start to know all the tunes and you know, you're getting all the music and you're in the local record shops. I moved to Birmingham because obviously, sorry for anybody living in Cov, but fucking hell, man, that city like. And funnily enough, my missus who I'm with now, she's actually from Cov. So I'm always ribbing her about how shit it is in Coventry.
Well, I mean, the phrase is getting sent to Coventry.
Yeah, it is.
That's it's not a nice place, clearly.
But I was still getting a few bookings and they were in Birmingham all the time, like. There was a lot of hardcore going on because HTID was in Birmingham. There was a lot of other things like they had the after parties, the pre-parties, and all these other people were throwing fucking events. And so I was getting booked for all of these. And I was like obviously I was turning up to hardcore nights as well for a bit and playing drum and bass sets for a little bit. We pissed a few people off, but I didn't give a fuck. I loved it like so. But yeah, I moved to Birmingham and I got a new group of friends that I kind of met through the raves there, and we got all really close. There was a big bunch of us. I was like, you know, when you've got like all that and you're all going out raving and you know how to throw a fucking event, you're going to throw an event, aren't you? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it just naturally is like, I'm going to throw an event for all my mates. Like, and hopefully went off and I found somebody with a bit of cash. Like I had a bit of dough at the time, like, and we put a fucking big event on. Like it was about 15 grand it was.
Jesus.
Just the lineup alone. And we put it on at the Rainbow when the Rainbow was quite new then. And that's a very iconic venue. If you've been to Birmingham clubbing, you've probably been to Rainbow. And we definitely lost a lot of money on that first event, but it was my way of introducing myself to the Birmingham drum and bass scene. Like, hello, I'm Lee. here we go. And it was like we booked some locals and I got to meet some really cool people that were doing events, and they started to book me. You know how it goes. You obviously start to get their networking and connections. And the second the second Raw event, which was the drum and bass night, we found a little venue called the Wagon and Horses Pub. And out the back of the pub, they had this massive outdoor stage in a canopy. It was fucking brilliant. Still one of my favorite venues going. And we threw it there, and it just went off. It was rammed. And we basically, at the time, we turned it into a free party, free entry. And we were making money off the laughing gas balloons because you were allowed to do that. And obviously, if you've got 300 people in a room, you're selling laughing gas, you're going to make about $2.5-3 grand on balloons. So with 300 people, they're doing that. We were able, because it was free, some of the DJs and acts would play very cheap, because obviously you book it through an agency. When you say there's zero on the door, you've still got to pay. But because of that zero on the door, it enabled us to book some really big acts at a free party because we could afford it with the balloons.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Fantastic.
So we did that for quite a while, and we had, I don't know if you're beatboxing, but we had the world champion beatboxer Reaps One. He performed for us about 4 or 5 times, and oh man, like these, I'll send you some videos, Jay, like fucking going off at the back of this pub, 300 people, going mad. And he did a set with a guy called Captain Crunch, who's a beat juggler, like, all the fucking turntable. And we had that set up like as a surprise set on one of our birthdays. Weren't even announced or anything. And we got him beat juggling, and then Reaps One beatboxing to the beat juggle. Fucking unreal. So we got a big reputation then with Raw. And
it's quite unique, that, isn't it? I mean, it really is. I mean, even to this day, beatboxing's a fantastic. I've seen Beardy Man live. Yeah, Beardy Man live in Manchester, and that was absolutely insane. You're in a club, and it was all like a student guild hall type thing, about 300 or 400 people. Absolutely packed to the rafters, and this one fella's on stage with all these bits of equipment, but every bit of noise, because you know how a stage show works, don't you? He has like the samplers and stuff like that, and it was like if you just walked in from the outside, it was like I've walked into a techno night. That's all his voice. It's fucking insane what he was doing. Like so 2010, you actually toured with this beatboxer, didn't you?
Well, it wasn't him.
Okay.
Yeah, Reaps One was the inspiration, really. And like I said, because we were booking beatboxers at Raw, there was like dubstep, drum and bass, beatboxing, breakbeat. It was like everything above. Do you know what I mean? In that kind of urban genre and stuff. And a few people had turned up who were actually beatboxers because they come to see their idol, Reaps One. And I just bumped into this guy called Dan, and he started beatboxing. And I fucking hate people emceeing in my ear and all that shit, spitting in my ear. But
used to it, don't you?
Like he said, he goes, I could do a bit of beatboxing. And I was like, obviously the Reaps One thing with the DJ inspired me. Because why don't you intro my set at the next Raw? And he did, and it went really well. And then it was like, I've got a gig in Wolverhampton. Do you want to come and do that? Yeah, we'll do that. And it got to the point where it's like, okay, let's do something where I'll play the tracks and I'll scratch this track out. And as I do, you mix in with a beatbox. And it just became a set. And it's like, right, we need a name now. We don't want to be going out as UHF and Grim. We need a collaboration. And that's where Dirtbox Live came from, basically. So, and we used that name. And like I said, it just became a thing where we kept adding people to it. So we added an MC. And obviously we were touring with an MC, and then that beatboxer left and we had another beatboxer. I mean, the general stuff with bands, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? So it was a band. I was doing the music. I did some live elements. I did DJing. And then we had an MC to host it all and the beatboxer to literally do music with it. And we played at Global Gathering with it.
Wow.
We played, oh my God, like all over the country doing stuff. We went to Poland, Slovakia, Czech Republic. We've supported Sigma on tour with it as well.
Okay.
So yeah, it got mental. For me, it was like everybody's a drum and bass DJ, and I'm not making drum and bass because I was learning how to do it at the time, because it's different than the hardcore stuff. I did the hardcore stuff for a while. It took me a while to pick up the drum and bass. So what can I do that's new? And no fucker we're doing anything like that.
Yeah.
So it got us some tidy gigs, and like I said, that's where that Dirtbox Live for from 2010 to like 2017, it was just like the big thing for me, touring then.
Yeah.
All
So,
of that, yeah.
so Dirtbox Records, the record label, is that an offshoot of, excuse me, is that an offshoot of what you were doing? Is it the same kind of style?
Well, I'd always planned like to have a label again. Do you know what I mean? Like the hardcore thing. I mean, it was running till 2010, but I wasn't really involved. I was just in the background because I kind of sold the rights off to all the music on my hardcore label, because I just like, okay, I want it out, but I don't want anything to do with it. Do you know what I mean? So I kind of signed that music to another label to do what they want with that. Yeah. And they put albums out and stuff, but I wasn't involved in hardcore. I wasn't promoting it or anything. So I wanted to do another label, and obviously it got to the point where obviously the vinyl thing had ended, and obviously it was more in a digital capacity. So by 2018, I'd actually finished about 10 drum and bass tunes that I'd made myself, and a couple of collabs and things, and they weren't brilliant, you know, because it is easily the hardest music to make, drum and bass. There's no harder music on the planet. It's so technical to get it right. And yeah, it took a long time to get it there. And I put out a free album at the end of 2017, and that was quite well received. It was on Soundcloud, free download, but I also did some CDs. I did about 150 CDs and sold them online and things. And they went, and then yeah, it's just like, okay, how do we follow this up? So we got in touch with a couple of distributors. We had a few meetings and we set up a deal. I had a few producers who were already like sending music who I'd got to know through the events. One guy called Fretman, who was doing hardcore before. That's how I met him. He did hardcore for us on Bedlam. Another guy called Traced, who actually comes from an hardcore background as well, funnily enough. Under a different name. And then we had a Birmingham drum and bass guy called Slain as well. And yeah, they still release on Dirtbox to this day. But that's how that label basically came about. It was just I had an output of music and I wanted to put it on a label, and I like running labels, you know. So it kind of just started from there, really.
Is your dad still with us?
Yeah.
What does your dad think? Obviously, your dad used to run record shops in the 80s. What does he feel about you having record labels now and making a career out of this?
He thinks I should fucking pack it in and get a real job.
Get a real job.
Yeah, but he come from that, having that, like when the record shop ended, my dad had nothing to show for it. You know what I mean? There's no pension plan.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's nothing like that. So for him, it's like, don't go down this road, Lee, because that was his experience of the music industry. He was a mobile wedding DJ and a record shop owner. And obviously when I was very young, like about 9 or 10, he shut the record shop up because it weren't doing very well. And like I said, he had nothing. So he went back to his teenage years where he got MVQs in carpentry, really good carpenter, my dad, really good. Yeah. So he slowly built up like a business for himself, doing repairs and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, now he lives on a fucking house he built on the beach, my dad, up in Lincolnshire. So do you know what I mean? He took him a long time to kind of get to that. Do you know what I mean?
It's obviously left a bad taste in his mouth. Like you say, he did. There's no pension, there's no backup plan, there's no sick pay when you're self-employed and stuff like that. So how did you end up? Sorry, go on.
Yeah, that's it. Like I said, it was just his bad experiences. I mean, he saw what I'm doing, and my mum always bought my albums and stuff like that, and I'd always send them music. They've still got them on a shelf, you know, my hardcore albums and stuff. And you know what I mean? They've got a couple of my records in frames as well. Yeah. They've got them in the house. They're proud of it, definitely. But you know, he never really comments on it, my dad, as much. Do you know what I mean? He knows what I'm doing and he's proud of it. But yeah, it's like, okay, he's all right. He's going on.
Yeah. Good. So how in 2019? You played somewhere that I don't know anyone else who's played. Do you want to explain where you played and how it came about, please? Yeah,
so like I said, the Dirtbox live thing took us everywhere, and we were always looking for something a little bit different. And I got to know the whole story. I got to know a DJ who runs a big gabba drum and bass label in Holland called Prospect Records, called DJ Thrasher. So him, Gareth. He played. He put a video on his YouTube of him playing on the Great Wall of China, 2017. I was, what the fuck is going on here? Like, I didn't even think you're allowed in China. You know, you hear all that like he's not allowed in China. You know, there's always those kind of you go to Dubai, oh, make sure you don't drink in Dubai, and make sure you don't. It's all bullshit, really. Do you know what I mean? All of this stuff. And the same with China, isn't it? Oh, you're not allowed in China. Do you know what I mean? Not allowed to talk. You're going to wear a mask or whatever. And yeah, he's playing on the Great Wall of China. So obviously blows you away. So I asked Alex what that is. And he just said, yeah, Yin Yang Music Festival. They booked me to play, and I played, and it was great. So I thought, fuck this, I'll just drop him a message. So I dropped him a message, and I got talking to a guy there called Mullane. Now, this whole story can jet off into another story because it's mind-blowing how all this is. So basically, Mullane is a Dutch guy who's heavily involved in governmental music stuff in Holland. He's the mayor of the nightlife in Groningen in Holland. So they call him the Nightmare. That's his name. Over here, that means something different.
Well, that's the spelling. It's all in the spelling there, isn't it?
Yeah, all in the spelling.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically, I got talking to the Nightmare, who was involved in this festival. And what it was is there was a Dutch guy and a Chinese lady that fell in love through music, and they started this festival in China as a way to kind of bring more culture to the country and things in Beijing. And they started off in a few clubs and things like that, and the opportunity came up with a lot of meetings to actually put it on the Great Wall as just like a something for sightseeing and things like that. And it started off very small around 2014, and it grew and grew. And basically Mullane saw this article about it. He'd been to China twice, and he just dropped a message and said to this Tommy and Rainbow, look, I love this, I want to be involved. I don't know how. Just please involve me in what you're doing. It's fantastic. And he became the main guy to book anybody who's not Chinese at the Great Wall of China. He was the main guy for that. He was the representative for that. And like I said, because of all his diplomatic kind of academic things he was behind with being the Nightmare, he's involved in creating revenue in Holland for producers and DJs. I don't know if you're aware of this, but if you're a resident of Holland and you're in a band or a DJ, you can apply for a grant to pay for your tour around the world as often as you want.
Fucking hell.
This is like I said, this could go into a whole other podcast, basically. But basically what happened is he was booking tours for loads of Dutch guys like Thrasher. So if those Dutch or performers weren't at that level of they'd get their flights and everything booked for, or the Dutch government pay for it for you so you could go and do it with no money. So he was part of that, and he runs a website now and things like that called G2C, Gateway to China.nl. So it's a great website, tells you how to actually go to China, what you need, because they don't have social media there that's like ours. It's all different. No Google, no Facebook, no WhatsApp. So you have to have all these new apps and stuff, and he educates people on that. He does his Nightmare stuff, building obviously nightlife, making sure clubs don't shut down and creating revenue for clubs. And he got involved in that. I got talking to him, and he loved my story as well, because they, as you can imagine, they're very, very selective who they book. And we got on like an house on fire, and he wanted to book me in 2017, but it just didn't happen. There was just a few complications in the way, because obviously how they booked it. So we booked it for the year after. I went through one of the most anxiety-ridden fucking journeys of trying to get my visa. Oh my God, they fucking string you along to get a visa into China, but it's worth it. Worth it. So I went over there. I took another artist from the Dirtbox label as well at the time, who was helping me with some stuff, and we both played on there. We stayed at the weekend. They put us in, like at the Great Wall of China, you can stay there for a weekend. They have like cabins. So they put us in these VIP cabins, all food and drink paid for and everything. And we, because obviously I'm in China, I'm not just going to fucking do the festival. And I ended up lining up about 6 gigs that week. So I had 6 gigs in China, went to see all the sites. Mind blowing. Honest to God, if you just go to China just to experience, it is one of the weirdest but most amazing cultural, different kind of trips you could ever check. It's not like anything else. I felt like I went to another planet, but it was good. Like the festival and everyone I met, I can safely say it's the most positive music experience I've ever had in my entire life. Wow. Unbelievable experience. Not just because it was full of nice people and everybody seemed to know each other at the festival, but just just how
The
obviously
whole environment
setting,
and the culture.
it couldn't have gone any better. Like
Fantastic.
everything was just great. And I met people who were like, yeah, I tell you what, for the next 2 days, come with us and we'll take you out and take you like just like literally I was just bouncing off people like a traveller would, you know what I mean? And meeting people, and it was amazing. Like I've made friends for life at that festival. And I speak to them.
Fantastic.
I speak to them every day, 2 or 3 of them, you know.
Fantastic. So the same year, 2019, you launched another record label. It's a bit of a habit, this, isn't it?
I know.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So this came about just like I really loved a lot of like the heavy bassline stuff, like Skepsis and DJ Zinc when they did the bassline, and Red Light and stuff. And I'd be doing the drum and bass label, and I'd get the odd guy like send me bassline tunes and stuff like that, and UK garage, and like I'd love that. I love that sound. You know what I mean? I like all music, and that was like something I was really into at the time. And I kept getting all this music. I just thought, fuck it, I'll sign it and just start another label up. So I contacted my distributor and I goes, look, I want to do another label with this and we'll do a good job. And we built up like core artists with this label. We last released something on the label at Christmas, but there's massive relaunch of this label coming. We've had 5 months off to kind of do some changes to the label, just to make it a bit bigger, a bit better. I've actually hired 3 people to do A&R on the label. So come May, you're gonna see this shit plastered everywhere. I mean, it was doing well before. The last 2 releases we got #1s on Beatport for this label, which is quite a feat for doing that. We've doubled the output of this. Like we've got about 10 releases ready to go on it, and it's there's going to be a huge kind of push on this label this year as well.
So like you're not busy enough with all this record labels and touring the world and having a new kid. You started a shoe business as well.
Yeah, well, I mean,
because you must have had about 5 minutes spare fucking time. I mean,
I know, yeah, it's pocket money kind of thing. It's one of those things. It's like I just got into, I don't know. I bought some Yeezys like around 2016, and I was like, yeah, I fucking like these. And you find out how these come about buying them, because you are limited to buying things like some of the, the Air Jordan 1s and that through raffles. If you win a raffle, you get to buy it. And there's only maybe like 60, 70,000 pairs worldwide. So once they're gone, they're gone. But because of that, you get people who resell. And obviously, if you manage to cop a few of these pairs, you're buying them at 160 quid. And some of them, you're selling them on for 800-900 quid.
Jesus,
you know what I mean?
Christ.
Especially when they collaborate with people like Travis Scott and stuff like that. And I mean, you got like your off-whites and stuff, Nike off-whites. You know what I mean? These
you do that with a tea bag, surely.
Yeah, of course. Zip tie on it.
Yeah,
but it's like he got an hobby. Like there's a wall here. I'm about 160 pairs of shoes of my own. But like the garage is just full of stock as well, because I know what to buy, and it's just a bit of pocket money really, and because of that, I get it, in a way it pays for itself, and all my shoes are free, like, so do you know what I mean? But I've always been into me fashion. Like I was the first kid at school with a fucking Stone Island coat and all that. I love to spend my money on clothes just so you can see something for it rather than pissing it up against the wall,
Yeah, is that why you launched the apparel range as well? Is it Dirtbox apparel?
Yeah, I mean everybody does fucking t-shirts for it, but I like designer brands and that, like, so that's
hey, look at that!
Like,
flash of the t-shirts.
Dirtboxclothing.com. If anybody's interested, it should be up and running now. But yeah, it was one of those. It's just like I didn't want to just do like your fucking rave t-shirt things. I wanted to do a proper line. So we were going to China, exporting companies and material companies, and just finding out what materials were and having them kind of custom made. With little badges on the arm and stuff. Like you'd get on a Henry Lloyd back in the day, or your Hugo Boss, just so they weren't just fucking screen print on a t-shirt. You know what I mean? So they had a bit of fucking clout in the street. Do you know what I mean? A bit more of a fashion brand. So it's that's on the sideline. We still do a little bit of that. I do need to update the website on that a little bit though. But
the good news is this won't be going out till May, so you've got to get your finger out, and by the time this goes live, you should be ready to go.
Fair play.
Right, Lee, we are going to finish off now with some quick fire questions. I will take your first answer and your first answer only. Are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Nutella or peanut butter?
Peanut butter.
What is your worst habit?
Just trying to think what people tell me to do.
Start new hobbies by any chance?
I'd say tidying up. I know that sounds weird, but like as soon as a cup or a plate hits the side, I've got it in my hand, taking it to the sink, and it drives the missus mad. That does.
Yeah,
yeah.
It could be worse. Could be the other way around. Who's the most famous person you've performed with or for?
Tiesto.
Wow.
I suppose. Yeah, I mean, if it's performing wise, definitely. Yeah, I played. He did. Skoda launched a car, and they had Tiesto involved in some way of launching this
as you
car.
do.
Yeah, and it was at the NEC in Birmingham, and basically, how the fuck I can't even remember how I got the gig, but I got a call saying, "Do you want to warm up for Tiesto?"
Yeah.
For the NEC, and I just did it.
Okay, now
so that was pretty weird.
Do you prefer DJing or production?
DJing, yeah, because there's a lot of production I love, but there's a lot that I fucking hate, and I don't get much time to spend on it. And you need, like, I was lucky to do a lot of it early on, but when you're running businesses as an adult and a family, you don't really get those 12 hours a day you have to put into doing it. So my output's slower. I maybe get 1 or 2 tracks out a year.
Yeah.
But I'm all right with that. I've come to accept that I will never be a big producer. I accept that now. It's not my journey, you know.
Monster Munch or Space Raiders?
Space Raiders.
What flavour out of interest?
Anything close to salt and vinegar, really. Yeah.
Pickled onion, then. Pickled onion.
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
Van Damme or Jackie Chan?
Fucking Van Damme, innit? He was a hero to me.
He was, wasn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
Alive or dead? If you could see anyone in concert, who would you go and watch?
Oh, Old Dirty Bastard again.
This might answer the same question. Same answer. Who would you most like to spend time in a studio with?
It wouldn't. Noisier. Definitely noisier. But then again, like I said, if I sat in the studio with Noisier, who to me, they're the best producers that ever lived, I wouldn't know what the fuck they were on about, talking about. They'd blow my mind with their skill. And but it's a story, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So if I could actually go in a studio with those 3 guys, you know. Yeah. But yeah, I'd love to get them to, or even one of them to do stuff on my other label, that VTO Records, because that'd be a
You never know, mate.
You never know. Studio with someone,
if you book them, they will come.
That's it. Yeah, never say no.
What's one thing you would rid from the world?
Jealousy.
Milky Way or Milky Bar?
Milky Way.
What's your favourite movie?
Oh, fucking hell. That's an hard one, mate. I could say the 2 films that I've probably watched more than any other film. I don't know if they are my favourite, because that changes all the time, but Blade and Fight Club, they're 2 great films.
Blade 2. I've even got it attached. You can see that there. I've got the sign of the Familiar on my hand.
That's brilliant.
I'm one of the Familiars. Yeah, Blade 2 is fucking amazing.
I love Blade 2, but nothing will beat that Blood Rave light. That is iconic. Yeah,
iconic, isn't it?
I went to see that film 3 times in one day when it first came out because of that.
Fucking hell.
So,
summer or winter?
Summer. I fucking hate winter. I hate it. I was going to move to San Diego in 2017. Wow. I nearly did.
Yeah.
And then I met my missus. Yeah. So I didn't bother doing it.
Bitch,
but yeah, I was I was on the verge of doing it.
Clipping his wings like that.
I know.
What is your dream car?
I'd say I'm a bit old school with it, because like when I was little, I was car mad, and I'm not a big car guy now, but I used to love Trans Am and Corvettes. Like I fucking loved Knight Rider as a kid and stuff like that, Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean a Mustang, you know, the old school a 1969 Mustang like that would be my dream car. Just that fucking noise it makes and the look of it, you know, the front grille. I love that. So yeah, 1969 Mustang or a Corvette.
Be honest. Do you like the smell of your own farts?
No.
No.
I wish I didn't have to fart. Really.
And the last question: what's the best podcast you've been on?
This one by far, obviously.
Hey,
the Couture podcast.
Don't tell me it's the only one.
No, it's not the only one. Funnily enough, like I said, one of the main reasons I agreed to this as well is yeah, I mean, obviously it's good to have a chat with somebody who you've got like-minded things with, but yeah, like I say, I've started a similar one as well, so it's good to kind of get some pointers from somebody who's done quite a few. So yeah, I've enjoyed it, mate. It's been really good.
Fantastic. I'm only 11 months in myself, you know, and I started off speaking to local talent, local DJs and MCs. And obviously it's just kind of climbing the ladder now. Obviously the way I look at it is, if I went to say a Tiesto and said, do you want to do my podcast? And he said, who's your last guest? And I say, fucking MC Wheelie Bin. He's going to say no. But if I went to Tiesto and said, do you want to do my podcast? And my last guest was Carl Cox, he's more likely to agree to it. So it's climbing the ladder. So you're 11 months in, so you're doing all right, mate.
Well, I mean, the thing is with the shows as well is I started it as a means for content for the label, because I'm in the midst at the minute of creating more content to build it. That's getting us the views, and I wanted to interview everybody that had a release, but not everybody's got a fucking story. That's the only thing. Not
everyone's a talker as well, mate.
I've had a few no's because of that. Yeah, but it's fine. It's absolutely fine. So I've had to kind of spread my wings a little bit. I hope you don't mind me saying it in the pitch, but my next show that should be out by the time of this is I have actually interviewed that Merlane Pullman who booked me for the Yin Yang Festival. So there's a 2-hour podcast that should be out now when this comes out.
Yeah, it will probably be. Yeah. Oh,
so sorry for the plug there.
Yeah, no, listen, that's what it's for. You know, it's my name on the fucking the title, but it's your podcast today. That's what, and I say that to all my guests. The podcast should be, you know, 70-80% the guests talking and me just kind of asking the questions and putting pointers. So you plug whatever you fucking want, mate. I'll just cut it out.
I appreciate that. Yeah, that's it. Say what you want.
On that note, is there anything else you want to plug before we wrap up?
Yeah, obviously we didn't touch on VTO Records. That's a big thing at the moment. That obviously I do. I collaborate with Traced on that. So yeah, if you're listening to this and you're looking at my labels, make sure you go and check out vtorecords.co.uk. It's pure underground, filthy Neurofunk drum and bass. It's just one genre of drum and bass. It's got its lane, and yeah, it's blowing up that. Another thing as well, I can mention it because it's not been announced yet as we're recording this, but I actually now manage Neurohead's record label as well.
Fantastic.
So this is a huge kind of UK brand that's just come out of nowhere. They've started an event and a label. They're fucking blowing up all over the world at the minute. And they come to me through some of my PR services that I offer for helping record labels. And they just wanted to kind of get some of my input, and it's just turned into me being part of their team and working for them as well. Yeah, so check out Neuroheads if you get a chance.
Fantastic. So once again, Lee, thanks very much for your time. Thanks for your stories. I hope it's been a nice little trip down memory lane. I don't know how much fucking use I'm going to be to you. Like, have you got any pointers off me? But you know, I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have, mate.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And yeah, I've definitely taken some pointers for it. I'll be included. I got the fucking mic stand for a start, mate.
There you go. It's a start, and then we can once the podcast wraps up, I'll help you out with anything. Any tips or advice I can help you with.
I appreciate
anything at all. Thank you very much, Lee. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I don't know
Jay.
who's up next. Like I say, it's currently, where are we now? March the what? March the
31st.
March the 31st as I'm recording this, and this is going to probably go out in May. So by the time this goes out, who knows who I'll have spoken to. I've got quite a few lined up. But thanks everyone for tuning in. And don't forget to all the socials, all the links are below for myself and Lee. Get tuned in, check out some of his stuff, and I'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Take care, everyone.
See you later, guys.